name is Ian Mahon, and I'm your vice president. And sitting right next to me is our president of NABJ.
And my name is Tyra Wooten. And across from us, we have our lovely guest from the Association of Black Psychologists. So go ahead and introduce yourselves.
My name is Kayla Robertson. I am the vice president of the Black Association of Black Psychologists.
What's up? I'm Javon Brown. I am the treasurer of ABPsi.
Yeah.
Such a nice voice.
Yes.
Nice to have you.
It's nice to have you guys.
So we're just going ahead and start right off into it. We're talking about Black mental health here in Carbondale, and I want to just ask the question: what is good mental health? What are people aiming for when they say that?
I'm going to say anything that, any negative feelings like that impede your ability to function on a day-to-day basis. Just the lack of those. We all have our daily stressors, and stress is good to certain degrees. But constant, like if you're feeling like you're underneath, like you're trying to keep your head above water and you can't, the feeling of good mental health is not feeling like you're constantly trying to keep yourself in a positive place. You're trying to keep yourself from being dragged down by whatever issues that you may be experiencing in your day-to-day life.
So when someone says like, "Man, I'm so emotional right now. I'm going through a lot," who do they go to for help?
Well, if we're just talking on the our personal, we have SIU. They have a counseling at the Student Health Center, and it doesn't always have to be a professional. Friends, family, TAs, professors. These are all people that are. It's in their job description to help you if you feel like you're going through a tough time. Advisors, even if you just need a voice of someone that doesn't necessarily know you, those are also people that you should feel comfortable going to.
Okay, so one thing I noticed that you said, like, when you're going through a rough time, so it's times like, it's finals weeks, like, we're all going through rough times. So, like, how do people know, like, what's actually like, oh, I have a mental health problem versus, like, I'm just having a bad week or I'm just having a bad couple weeks? Because I feel like it is a very important topic, but we don't want to, like, overdiagnose ourselves. So how do we differentiate, like, what's, like, just us having a bad week and then just us actually being, like, mentally, like, just not there?
Yeah, it's exactly what you said. Like, are you having a bad week, or has this usually, like, something that can be diagnosed doesn't occur within 24 hours? You know what I mean? This is a repeated something that you've probably suffered from at this point for weeks on end, right? Or possibly months. People go years without being diagnosed.
Yeah, and I would say depending on disability as well. Like, you got to have a consistency of those symptoms, like months rather, for them to actually diagnose you. So.
And there's physical things that come with. I feel like we think that mental things are just in our head. There's physical attributes that are attached to these, like extreme fatigue, not being able to get out the house, like not really wanting to go to class. You feel like at the beginning of the semester you were just on top of everything, and now you're 2 weeks after midterms and you just don't want to go, like, leave your room, stuff like that. Sometimes these things are more dramatic than a typical, I'm just having a bad week. There's all types of just feeling down, mood swings, being argumentative. Anything like that, just prolonged of those feelings, right?
I think that's why it's so important that you have good friends around you to support you and uplift you and be positive. Especially in this day and life. Another question for you: the current system is based on the idea of diagnosing mental disorders, even sometimes when it's not true. In my personal situation in middle school, I was that kid who was done with his classwork before everyone else and just was talking to other students. And I was like, "Hey, you're being disruptive," but really didn't ask me any questions towards why. So they placed me as being on an ADHD kid. How should a kid feel about that, and how can we solve that problem where teachers are diagnosing kids like that?
Unfortunately, that's not uncommon, especially I think for children from our generation. Sometimes, especially when you have one teacher to a classroom of 40 children, that are constantly being children.
There's a lot of kids.
Yes. A lot of their get out of jail free cards say that something's wrong, to send them somewhere else. That a lot of kids our age and still now are suffering through that. And it's the more people that we put into these jobs or put into these professionals areas that know the difference and know not to overdiagnose. It's just one of those things that we can only fix the problem by becoming the solution, unfortunately. And
I think we're doing it now just by having
exactly
the conversation.
just having that
People
conversation.
staying aware.
And what I've noticed recently is that topic is being covered by more and more professionals like psychologists, sociologists, BAT representatives of color that notice, because that issue is predominantly with students of color. And especially in those classrooms and in those schools that have graduating classes of 3,000 kids.
That was in my class.
Exactly.
Yeah,
There's not enough supply to meet that demand. So we only know how to say something's wrong with them or to put them somewhere else, especially since there's a lot of schools that give extra funding for the amount of students that they have in those special programs. So it's a system that you can only fight by rewriting that system, unfortunately.
Indeed.
Yeah, well, one thing I can say is that's why I appreciate both of you guys, because we definitely need more people of color being psychologists, definitely for people that look like us for children in school. So I guess we can move on to say, like, how do you guys personally deal with your mental health? Like, how do you guys, make sure that you are just as healthy mentally as you are physically?
Because you got to learn how to take breaks for yourself.
Yes.
For a busy schedule. Even if it's not just 10 minutes in your car before you go to class. Like, I'm just going to chill out, sit down, look at my phone, look at some funny stuff on Instagram, whatever it may be. Take that time to have self-reflection. I think it's really important. So.
Exactly what you said. Self-care is so important, and creating, I think, a safe space for yourself and for those around you. Like me personally, I have a get-together of me and my close circle of friends that I work with, like maybe once a month or maybe twice a month, depending on how freaked out everybody is, or in our availability, where we just sit down and vent about every single thing at our job that we don't like. I work
We all do it.
Yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I work in retail. So,
Today. What happened today?
We got
today?
it's personal story time. Come on,
He
it's
said out of the
personal story time.
podcast.
I want to keep my job. That's on live.
No, that's right. Gotta pay them loans.
But yeah, creating a safe space for you. And once I swear, I don't know what it is, but it's nothing like bonding over a common problem that really gives you this sense of relief. Like, if I'm going to say dealing with that one customer, Lord, and everybody has that one customer, right? And then everyone's bonding over the fact that it's just not me experience this. And that could be like thrown onto each situation, like school, that one professor, that one TA, or that one test, or that one exam, like same thing. Once you find people who've been through that or are going through that, it's that feeling that I'm not alone. And sometimes that's half the battle, is realizing that you're not by yourself.
Exactly.
Surrounding yourself, with people that's on like the same, pedestal, that have the same goals like as you do, that's, can keep you going. Like when I'm stressed out, I go kick it with the guys, what I mean? We go bowl every Wednesday. So tomorrow you gonna see us in the bowling alley bowling for dollar night. You know what I mean? Like then that's when we all get together, talk about what happened throughout the whole week. Talk about that one paper we just did that stressed us out for that week. You know what I mean? So just surrounding yourself with others that understand what you're going through, instead of someone that that you lashing out, telling them what's going on, and then they tell you, well, if you do this, it could be better, because what we want is someone, really just to listen.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you just listen to what I'm saying and just feel for me, that's a coping mechanism for me as well. So.
And go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, there was something else you mentioned, and I responded with saying, like, you could go to people at SIU for, like, help. I say that when I say that, I mean it loosely because I know a lot of students, at least those coming from of color backgrounds, very, very much so struggle with going to professionals because unfortunately in the majority of our field, of most fields, are people who don't share the same cultural lens as we do. So why should I come to this person, right? They don't know what I'm going through. They can't see where I'm from. I don't know what they represent. Maybe I'm more at risk talking to them about my problems than I am benefiting, right? Especially since some of this stuff, at least SIU is free, but if you go to a professional like outside, that's not free. You pay it by hour. So there was this website I think I found a while ago, or you could just probably Google search it, where there's a whole like a search engine for professionals that are of color.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the most helpful things I've ever seen in regards to, because there's certain things you can't even put words to. Like, I saw Instagram meme not that long ago that says, "When are we going to stop explaining ourselves, like explaining our cultural background?" Because that's a stress in and of itself. Having to explain to you what it's like to be a black woman in America is a stress in and of itself.
It's hard to explain. You've been through
Or
so
a black
much.
man, anything like that. Anyone of color. It's just so, and like you want to be able to go to a professional and be like, look, and then they feel like it's not something you have to express. You don't have to explain that because they face the same thing the moment they leave the office. Because the cops don't know you're a professional. The cops don't know you went to grad school. They don't know you have a PhD.
Yeah.
It sees the color of your skin.
Yeah,
and
still
you
black.
get judged for that so many times. I'm glad you brought up that fact about the history of our culture. We've been enslaved for 400 years, and I think people really don't conceptualize how that's had an effect on us as a people.
And Jim Crow after that.
You know, the countless stories that we've been through. Why? And I think that's the reason why people don't want to talk about mental health, because they say, well, we've been through so much. We strong enough to, to get through this. Like, man, your cousin got schizophrenia over here, freaking out. Other cousin got PTSD because he been through the war. But we just don't talk about it.
We pray it away.
But one thing I can say, though, I feel like that it's minimized just because other people minimize it. Like, oh, slavery was 400 years ago. How does that affect you? But they're not really seeing, like, how it traced down. Like, okay, like, say if your grandma didn't go to school. Okay, so that has affected your mom. Did your mom go to school? Maybe not. So now you're the first person to go to school. You don't really know what's going on. You have some stresses that your parents don't really know what's going on. So I feel like it's just a society thing of like minimizing the effects of slavery and then like the effects that it can possibly have on some black people and their mental health. So I think that's another reason why.
And the stigma of mental health too. Like when we're not trying to explain ourselves to the main populace, we're explaining ourselves to our friends, our family. Your friends would down talk you. They think you simply because of the ignorance surrounding it. Or you get called out your name because you feel sad for too long. Like,
I'm trying to check in on me. I'm trying to sound good.
I think it's because it's
like
he said, like black people just seem like they just so strong. Like we're strong people, but it like you could still go through things. Like something might not be mentally wrong. Like you don't have to always be this strong black woman that can take anything, or this strong black man that's going to do everything. Like people real life go through things, and I feel like it's also a stigma that mental illnesses are like a white people thing, and it's an everybody thing.
Absolutely.
Like,
now, why isn't there more black psychologists? Social work. People just don't want to be psychologists.
Or
no, I was going to let you answer that because really, I'm not majoring in psychology. I'm actually majoring in behavior analysis and therapy. So I'm trying to be a behavior analyst.
Okay, but before you talk, what is that? Because some of our viewers might not know.
Okay,
exactly
so
pay attention, y'all.
And behavior analyst is an individual that we practice we do research more with individuals that have disabilities, mental disabilities, but this institution SIU focuses heavily on autism here. So we have the Center of Autism Spectrum Disorders here that I also do like therapy sessions in, and we think of strategies to, overcome their, barriers that they have. So this could be with, kids between the ages of like 5 and up until adults, like up until the age of 30. So what we do is like we try to, make them have a better quality of life than what they have now.
Okay. Okay. But why isn't
Yeah.
psychologists?
Thank you.
Thank you. Because most folks don't even know what they want to choose for their major, and if they're interested into yours,
We need
sheds
more
more
black
light. Mhm.
students in the applied behavioral analytic program. I'm sorry. It's only me and like 2 others, and it shows. You know what I mean? If there's more color, they could, the program would see how more serious we are when, wanting to research into that stuff. You know what I mean? I see the lack of, the interest within our color in the field, not just here, but just in the field.
Mhm.
So, we need more.
I think it's a combination of what takes the least amount of time in regards to schooling, what can make the most money, what can benefit me with unfortunately, like the least amount of work. And it's not even work, the least amount of money, because a lot of us don't have the funds to back us to be going to school for 8 years. A lot of us look, it's undergraduate, and you make it work from there. So unfortunately, there's that, and then the just getting to know, like, are these options? A lot of us don't even know these type of options are available. And then just under psych alone, there's like 50 subcategories that you can specialize in. And if the majority of the people go into one category, well, guess who's in everywhere else? Like, so it's just, it's stuff like that. There's a multitude of reasons why, and just stuff that we don't really talk about. Like, I feel like, and then making it popular for, hey, yeah, you do have to go to graduate school, but here's all these opportunities as you go to graduate school. Like, we have to figure out how to get that conversation to not end at, you need more than just a 4-year degree. Well, what can I get from that? And then also explaining how rewarding it could be for your life, the people around you, and your spirit to be a psychologist. Not all of us can go out there and be an activist. Like, being a revolutionary don't pay the bills. Like,
I will say though, being somebody of color and being a psychologist, that is an activist in a way.
Exactly.
That's an activist in a way. I mean, traditional sense, but it's an activist in a way for sure.
There's a way to a lot of, not just like being a psychologist, sociologist, all these things that are entrenched in the community have a element of activism. Like, yes, there's all of these, like, sociologists, psychologists. We should be in every high school, every grammar school, so especially those with at-risk children. Do you understand, like, how the rates, how lower the pipe to prison pipeline would be if there was a psychologist in those at-risk schools to be that voice for them? But that's not in the budget, or that Board of Education hasn't been made aware of the importance of it. But guess what schools have 5 psychologists and a sociologist and a social worker?
I think you just said a mouthful. Like, seriously, like, I don't think people realize, like, if, like you just said, just something simple, like, if all these at-risk schools, you put money into it, I bet you they won't be at risk. Look at the other schools that have them. And I was reading this article that was saying, like, it was making it mandatory for, like, students to, like, take a 30-minute break from school and, like, meditate. Like, that should be, like, let me look it up. Yeah, let me look it up.
So, speaking about meditating, what are some other ways that people can relieve from their stress instead of going to drugs?
Everybody has different ways of coping. Like me, I play video games.
What kind of video games you play?
I got PlayStation. What you got?
PlayStation.
Yeah, look. I'm Xbox, everybody.
I'm so sorry.
I don't have one.
Yeah, graphics nice. It's nice.
I play Nintendo, Mario Party.
See,
Okay.
that's the
Classic.
Okay.
Yeah, classic.
We on the same page. Okay.
Yeah.
I know, whatever.
There's stuff that go from, like, any sort of video game, honestly, I think is a good stress reliever. It doesn't matter if you're playing like Grand Theft Auto or Tetris. Like, it's relaxing. I know some people play a music instrument to relieve their stress, or go running, or exercise. Some draw. Some play with their animal or pet or whatever.
Go to the gym.
That's awesome.
Man,
all things that release endorphins.
I go to the rec. Go to the kickboxing room.
Okay.
That's all you need.
You got an instructor?
That's all you need. No,
He
I'm
do
my
it
own
himself.
instructor.
No, that's right. Okay, independent.
No.
Also, here's the article I found. It was from Higher Perspective, and it says the school replaced detention with meditations. That's what it did. But still, and the results are phenomenal.
Yeah, we said that in my school.
Yeah, I was in detention a lot.
Me too.
Oh yeah, we set my tail in school.
But I feel like meditating helps a lot, especially
Yes.
with my mental health. Like, I do go to the gym, and I'm really like a self-care kind of person. So, like, I'm getting my nails done. I'm staying in the bathtub. Yeah. Let me not show you. I see your nails. I said, they look nice. No, you don't do it all the time. No, and I mean, like, not do my hair. I might wash it. Because I barely. Not too much.
Yeah, doing your hair can be relaxing too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's washing it, leaving the conditioner in, put a
Braid
nice
out.
movie on.
Deep condition.
You know, another thing that I do, I go shop, which I should stop.
Don't spend all your money in one
You
place.
got a limit. You got a limit.
I got a limit, but I go shop for food.
Yeah, that's my
And then-
business too.
I barbecue. No,
Cooking.
go ahead.
Cooking
Go
is
ahead,
yeah.
barbecue.
very relaxing.
I was my
What season do you put on it?
You say what?
Oh, no, we can off track.
Yeah. I was about to say, Lawrence.
I'm a
Sauces, your technique. These are hold on.
You gonna need another
After the
time.
5 years.
Another 10 minutes on that or something.
I guess my last one would definitely be like praying. Like, ooh,
Oh,
Oh yeah.
most
every
def.
day. Got to.
Most def.
And praying is just really talking to yourself, I would always say. Whether you talking to praying to God or whoever you believe in, talk out loud about how you feel.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
it's important.
Sometimes hearing it really.
Yeah.
I'll write it down.
Yeah.
if you
True.
need to.
True. Some people are very like what they write.
Yeah.
Really.
I think
Helps
writing
them.
helps me a lot. It makes me feel like a little calm. Like, oh, like somebody's reading it. I don't know who. Somebody is.
And I think one thing that is a major problem is people believing within themselves that you were made for a reason, you put on this earth for a reason. And a lot of times people go in life question themselves, especially at an early age when you're getting teased about your looks, who your family is, and things of that nature. At what moment did you find yourself? And that can go for anybody.
I think. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You got it. Because I was about to.
She's always ready. Always ready. Trying to get to your stage.
I feel like we need to make it very apparent that who said you have to figure out who you are before the age of 25.
Thank you.
Like, I'm not supposed to know who I am right now. I don't even know. Like, I'm gonna answer your question. Like, when did I find myself? That might not be my only self. What if that self changes by 30 or 40? I found the self that I am right now.
Yeah, like
Constantly
you
growing.
constantly growing, constantly going through experiences, like growing and glowing.
Yeah, and we see all these people who didn't like get a job that they wanted or put themselves in the place that they want to be until they was in like their mid-40s.
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, we are stressed like every day. I think after 5th grade, I think you start, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to do this? You're taking all these tests to figure out if you even have the aptitude to be what you want to be. You're told by the time of 8th grade that, look, it's not looking good for you.
8th grade?
And you're 12, like, so you're just like,
what am I supposed to do in my life?
Yeah. You have an existential crisis before you hit puberty. Like, it's ridiculous.
But one thing you said, like, people be asking you, like, parents that are watching this, stop asking your kids what they gonna do after college. Like, that question in itself. Yes, that's question in itself is, like, stressful. Like, let them figure it out. I think.
Grandparents. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Stop telling your grandbabies they're gonna be doctors. They're gonna be lawyers. Well, which they could. They can be, but don't force it onto them.
Yes.
I love you, Granny, but I can't be no.
The only question
No
I want
medical
to hear is,
Be anything you want to, baby.
can you take care of me after college? I don't care what you do.
Or the
Grandparents should be asking, or parents, can you help me?
Like,
Right.
The only question I want to hear from my mama on break is what you want to eat.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to come home and wash no dishes. Like, that's stressful.
Granny, I need them smothered potatoes.
Right?
Or
pork chops.
when you
We'll
gonna
talk
get it
after
together
this.
to give me some grandkids?
Oh,
Lord.
I ain't got that one yet.
Damn.
My people ain't talking about that.
They knocking on
Take
your
care of
door.
myself.
Everybody but my mother. My mom, I don't know if it's just my mom or moms in general, but she's just so happy that I made it to college without like the failure of the black woman before college is getting pregnant
Yeah.
or getting involved with some boy. Like like these just stereotypical things.
Mhm.
I'm just like, first of all, even if I did, I would still go to school or stuff like that. I would still improve myself.
Mhm.
But I feel like she don't care what I do in college. It's the fact that I got here without pregnancy. That's it. I'm already the golden goose.
So you can do anything you want to.
Or that you're
Exactly.
still in
That's-
school.
that's
Like,
the
it's
age.
hard to stay in school. Like, a lot of
Mhm.
people don't last after the first year. Like, my gang from freshman year,
Mhm.
it's like,
I
well,
hear that a lot.
yeah, like, that's only like, well, when I graduated from undergrad, it was only like 4 of us. It was like 10 of us are my freshman year. So, yeah, girl, give yourself some props. That takes a lot. All
It
y'all
does.
at this table. You too, cameraman.
Mubarak behind the camera.
Mhm.
Okay.
I feel like I wish we had the more, like, something to motivate us more. Like, we
But
we make
motivation
these
comes from within,
yeah,
right?
that's true. And we make these spaces like just like this space
Mhm.
to help motivate us for. But these are just small. Like you see, it's like 4 of us. Like
Yeah.
these aren't like scattered across campus. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
These safe places or these motivational moments aren't just so frequent as they used to be.
Yeah.
So I wish that was something that we could maybe do for that. But
Well, maybe we
Oh.
don't start doing it.
Yeah.
Idea, start it.
yeah,
Everybody has to be involved. Can't just be us.
yeah, that's true. And that's also another thing, trying to do stuff by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think people have to realize that in life, sometimes you're going to be alone.
Mhm.
And in that time when you feel bored, you can be doing other things that are useful.
Mhm.
Building your skill,
Mhm.
building your network. And a lot of people, I feel like, squander their time and get on social media.
Mhm.
Social media is good to a certain extent. You can't be on there for an hour
Mhm.
looking at videos all the time.
Mhm.
One thing I wanted to add, you talked about your grandparents putting stress onto you about having grandkids, things of the nature. Similar situation for me with my mom. You funny. My mom, single parent, was divorcing my dad at an early age when I was probably like 8 or 10. You're the man of the household. I don't even know what a man is, right? I don't even know who I am. So, putting that label on your kids at such an early age, it can do a lot of damage.
Mhm.
But definitely talking with the right people, having mentors in my life helped me, and talks like this where people are like-minded, have you in best interest, are really helpful. And I just want to urge that to the audience. Always look for people who have you at your best interest, because not everybody care about you. You can't be nice to everybody
Yeah.
Mhm.
at all.
And it's messed up that we have to go into the world like that. But that's the only way to really protect yourself against certain things. And I feel like we finally, as Black women, have come to a place where you can see all on the internet via social media. We're like consistently supporting each other. Like you don't have to be the strong. Like we find sisterhood all the time, I think.
Yeah.
And I want that type of circle for Black men, because I feel like y'all don't have that type of like.
Most of Black men in jail.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I'm
but
saying.
the ones that are here can still pick up the weight.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly. And I don't feel like you guys are told enough that you can experience the whole spectrum of emotions.
Mm.
You don't get to just choose between happy and angry.
Oh my gosh, yes.
You're about to have your own little social right now.
No, because I totally understand. Like, I feel like and like I don't know with any other race, so I can only speak on like what I observed from like Black men, but I feel like you guys don't like to like show your love
relationship
for each other.
section. Go ahead. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
Like
This is good.
it's kind of like I guess it's like taboo to be like, man, I love you, or just like I miss you. Like it
You
can
can't
be the
love
same.
anyone until you love yourself.
I agree, but I just feel like with like you guys could talk more, like be on that emotional support side. Like it doesn't have to be like, oh, what's up, oh, what's good. Like it could be like,
And little
how you
things.
feeling? Are you feeling okay? How are you doing financially? Like actually asking all questions. Like, you know, I'm not a black man, so obviously I don't know. But I'm just saying, like, as far as the things that I observe. So what you guys can speak on
You
it.
feel like we
though.
don't express our emotions. That's usually the.
I'm a lovable man. I'm an emotional man. I feel like.
Well, you are rare, and I'm so
Yeah.
happy about it.
Yeah.
Every man is open. Okay.
You know, but I mean, I agree with you to an extent. I've heard this term, "man can't afford to be emotional." You know what I mean? Which is, I feel like it's not true. We need to lash out, you know, tell how we really feel, holding all of our emotions in. That's what's
hurting us.
Yeah, that's what building up that, you know, anger that we have, the stress. We gotta let go sometimes. So I mean, I do agree with you. I'm not that way. I actually.
Oh yeah, of course, not all black men. That's like,
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's definitely
I say what I need to say sometimes. I show my emotions, you know what I mean? So, but most black men, they don't.
Yeah.
So, if we can, you know, turn that around and try to switch that, it would be a better, you know, environment when it comes to, you know, mental awareness. But I mean, until we get that going, it's gonna be.
I think we're doing it now, though. You know,
Yeah, we
breaking
are.
the stigma
We are.
and just making it like you guys are both comfortable with saying like I willingly express my emotions, like it's not a problem. So just constantly breaking down that stigma that is not manly or something or like feminine to express your feelings. I feel like this is the first step.
We all go
And I
through
think,
struggles.
yeah, and I think we have a part to play in that too. Like we live in a world where we're constantly complimented by the black man. We're constantly uplifted, at least I hope so, by the black man.
Yes.
So we
Love
should,
y'all.
it should be something that like, hey King, like we,
Please, hey, please do that. I'll look at you. Okay, thank you. Hey, right, King, you.
No, but you got it. Okay, I understand.
And I say, hey, Queen, how you doing, princess?
Well, I guess what we can do is like women, as black women, is like making it seem like it's okay to express yourself. Like it don't have to always be me coming to you like, let me tell you, like, no, let's hear about your day. I don't think I'm gonna say, hey, King. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna say, hey. I think it's cute though.
Yeah.
I just feel,
Yeah.
hey, King.
and answer our questions.
You better not say it like that.
Okay, but I mean, like,
I don't hear that.
That's kind of serious.
maybe like, hey,
really mean
Queen.
Yeah.
Right. I say it exactly what y'all said. So what that mean? You kind of said it to me. Right. Reverse it back.
How you feeling, Queen?
Oh, you trying to put that
It sound
back
like you
down.
saying smooth
Right.
jazz. Like,
I don't know how we do
No,
it.
hey, King.
I just don't know how we would like give it to y'all. Like, hey, King. Like, it sounds like I'm talking about T.I.'s son.
it sounds like that's his name.
Yeah, it's like, no, like we know, it's, I don't know, y'all might not get that one from me. I'm gonna say hey though.
But I think showing that appreciation alone speaks volumes. Because a lot of times when I walk past a brother and he suited and booted looking good, I look at him like, you look good. He'll look at me back like,
This dude is totally
right?
Right?
I'm trying to give you praise, man.
Yeah.
Like making it normal. It's normal to do that.
Yeah, they look
guys.
at you. You did more than the
Right.
They
Trying to
would
get to
grow-
know me, bro.
I think that's what
Just
guys
give me
in general,
compliments.
but particularly like with black guys, it's just like I see that often. Cause like with girls, it's like, oh girl, you cute.
Men are always on the defensive side.
Yes, but I also think it's like maybe y'all can speak on it. Maybe it's like to try to protect your sexuality type of thing. Like, oh,
or
I ain't,
hyper masculinity.
yeah, like I don't.
I say, combination of both. No, combination
Yeah,
of both.
I mean, I'm asking because like I said, I don't know. I want to know what y'all think. Cause I see it all the time.
I'm a different guy, so if you would have told me that,
And
baby,
you see over his sound, I'm like, I ain't one of those
I did this
dudes,
to you
bro.
before. I'm like, hey, Clarence Rat, you know me. You know how I do it. I make
Right.
it work. You know what I'm
Hey,
saying? So,
I gotta make it a
but
fun.
like, you know, I got some friends that, you know, that's like that way, and this is protecting their sexuality. Like, they don't want, like, that's like how I told you. I'll be like, man, this dude just told me I'm looking good, man. You know, he gay. That's how they gonna say it.
Instantaneous.
You know?
Oh,
So,
you gay.
Yeah.
Like if a dude so I just seen Twitter video where this dude gave a compliment to another man saying, "Oh, your butler was looking good when I was walking behind you," and gave him a handshake.
Your butt.
And he was like, "Oh, thank you, bro. Have a good day." As a black man, hell no.
So wait,
That's different.
did you say your butt?
Yeah, he said your butt was looking good.
I think I saw something similar.
But see, well, women can do that.
I want my butt to look good, though.
Yeah.
Guys, that's not what you want to look good. You can be like, oh, I see you bulking up. I mean, I don't know how you do the compliment. But I don't think a
I see
guy...
you in the gym.
Yeah, like, I don't think a guy wants his butt to look big. That's like a girl saying,
What are we
girl, that
talking
tongue
about?
is like... Right? We off track, for real.
Oh, man, this is funny.
Yeah, so do you guys have any last remarks for today's Black Mental Health Talk?
I'm glad we did this.
Yeah, this has to be a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely a thing, y'all. Come stop by anytime. Anytime. We just gotta have a topic. We gotta stay on track.
Open that door.
Track right there.
We'll open the
Just let me know. I'll be here.
Okay.
Absolutely. Seek help in all ways. Friends, family, professional, non-professional. And actually, I didn't even mention this before. If you're in an RSO, you could talk to that e-board.
Yeah.
You could talk to people in that group. They're all there for that, regardless of whether it's like for journalism, for psychology, for I don't know which badminton, whatever. Y'all could go to these people or these students, and you have more of a same background. Y'all could talk on the same level, and they more so easily, I think, understand your background. I feel like we tend to lock stuff up and try to feel like we can handle it on our own. If we don't, then we're somehow weak.
And even if you don't know where to go, members from the Black Affairs Council will send you to where you need to be, no matter of your race. You know, you could be black, white, yellow, purple. Like,
There you go.
yeah, they gonna let you know where to go and what you need and who to help you. So,
These groups are here. We just need to figure out where they are.
Yeah.
And to email all these. We have all these offices, emails, phone numbers for a reason. We exist to literally serve y'all. And I'm in BAC and my slate is empty. Please, somebody email me need help. I appreciate it. Give me something to do.
Well, my name is Eon Mahone.
And I'm Tara Wooten. Thanks for tuning in to the Journalist Corner.
Thank you guys.